Hello and welcome to this briefing by the Jerusalem Press Club. I am Jonathan Beck, Director of Content. Our guest today is Dr. Eyal Pinko, Senior Researcher at the Begin-Sadat Center for Strategic Studies at Bar-Ilan University and an expert on intelligence, international espionage, and maritime security. The company heads Terra Strategic Solutions, deal with similar issues in the civilian sphere, perhaps except the maritime issue. Hello, Dr. Pinko, and thank you for joining us.
Hi, hello, good morning.
So our topic today is the strike against Hamas officials in Doha, the capital of Qatar, yesterday afternoon, around 4 p.m. Reports varied if it was 10 or 12 airstrikes, and Israel was very quick to claim responsibility for this. Now, Israel knew from the start that Qatar gives shelter to Hamas top officials there, and until now it avoided taking such actions. And we also know the Israeli defense establishment yesterday, according to reports today, was not all in agreement on whether this was the decision to strike. I heard that Shin Bet and the government wanted to do this now, and Mossad had its qualifications. Can you say why now? And of course, how does this affect and how is it related to the expected military takeover of Gaza City and the Gaza Strip?
Yeah. So thank you once again. If we try to analyze or to see the big picture of what is happening, we can see that in the last 1.5 years or more, Israel is trying to negotiate with Hamas with no success. Hamas is fooling Israel, fooling Qatar, fooling also Egypt and the US, of course. And it come back and forth with this negotiation of the hostages. Since January, since Trump went into power, we see that Trump is very actively in trying to go into this negotiation. And I think that 2 weeks ago, August 25, Trump was at the point saying, I cannot handle it anymore. It's too much. And he was stating, on August 25, he was stating to the press that in 2 weeks from now, there will be a major change in the war. So I think the first factor is that Trump had no power for that. He had no patience for that, and he understands something radical had to be. And there was a signal from the U.S. that assassination of the Hamas leader is now okay after finishing all the other capabilities or a negotiation process. On the other side, Israel had to be ready for this kind of operation. It takes days on days and days to plan with a very accurate intelligence, with the ability to not have only accurate intelligence, but also to have the ability to make what we call sensor to shooter a short time, which means that once you identify the target, you have a very few minutes until you can intercept the targets. So it took time for analyzing and to prepare this operation. Thirdly, I do believe that the massive and the brutal terror attack 2 days ago in Jerusalem, that around 15 Israelis were injured, among them 9 or 8 were killed. I think this was, as we call, the straw that broke the camel's back. And I think that the integration or the connectivity between all these factors brought this operation into power, while preparing I believe it was a deception that Israel and the US prepared a paper causing Hamas leadership to gather in Qatar and the same place that they are gathering. And, with this will be the trigger for the operation that was conducted yesterday.
Okay, that's interesting. So if what you say is correct, then all the surprise tweets and the regrettable by the Trump administration is just lip service. But from what you say, I understand that perhaps this has been an operation that has been sort of ready for a while, and Israel was just waiting for the right time the Hamas officials to come together. I know that Qatar is not a country where Israel enjoys the same, let's call it, Iran is perforated as cheese regarding its, the espionage that Israel can do there. Qatar is not the same. It's a much smaller country, very tightly controlled. Is there any chance that the Qatari regime basically delivered the whereabouts of those Hamas officials and gave them on a platter to Israel and the US.
Yeah. Yesterday night, I was speaking with a journalist from the US, and I told her that I believe that Qatar is part of that. And she said, this is a conspiracy. But when I tried to analyze the situation, first, if you remember, during May or June, when Israel attacked Iran with the aid of the US, after that, the US attacked, there was some kind of retaliation action made by Iran, and the Iranian bombarded some kind of American base in Qatar. In some particular or very odd situation, nobody was in this base, and the bombs went a little bit outside, but the Iranian was cheering up and saying, we did the retaliation. And this, of course, was with coordination with Qatar, this act. So even though there is Qatar, it's a really it's not a friendly country for Israel. And even though I don't believe that this kind of attack will be done without the knowledge of Qatar or without the coordination with Qatar, and for Qatar, it's a very good situation. They are, in any case, they win the situation, because from one side, the Hamas leadership is not really, they're not really obeying Qatar. While Qatar is under huge pressure from Trump to go and to settle this operation and to have a ceasefire. So Qatar really wants to have a ceasefire because of Trump administration pressure. From the other side, as I said, there is no control. They cannot control anymore Hamas guys, which are basically controlled by Iran. So now it's amazing time. You can take out all Hamas leadership. This probably will accelerate the ceasefire agreement and bringing back the hostages. And they can replace immediately the Hamas leadership that will be 100% under their control without Iranian involvement. So this will give them much more power. And they can pretend to be innocent. Nothing happened. We didn't know anything. Everything was without our knowledge. And to say that we tried to give the best shelter to Hamas, and even they said in the news today and yesterday that more than that, they alerted the Hamas leadership not to be there. So they are winning from. This is for Qatar win-win situation. So I really, because Israel doesn't want to piss off Trump, I don't see any probability that Trump didn't know about it. And of course, Trump will be also a hero because he said, "Well, look, I told Qatar." So he also Trump is going as in a win-win situation from that.
Okay, why? I mean, Qatar could have just at some point in the war told the Hamas leaders to leave, right? Or to go to Turkey or elsewhere. Can you say why they would take such a course of action, allowing them to stay and then giving them to...
Yeah, Qatar has a huge benefit of Hamas over there. They are controlling the money that goes to Hamas. Hamas, the Hamas leadership have over there billions of dollars that are stayed in Qatar. So Qatar wants to preserve this amount of money. If I calculated, I estimated, I think correctly, there is more than $10 billion that are belong to the Hamas leadership over there. It's not belongs to the people of Gaza. It belongs to Hamas leadership, and they are controlling. It's a huge money, so it's also money involved over here, and of course of the floods of money that will go to Hamas. So for them, it's important to leave it and not let Turkey to have control of it. And we need to remember that there is a competition between Turkey and Qatar who will control the Muslim Brotherhood. It's not a war, but it's a competition who will be the greatest Muslim Brotherhood leader. Erdogan or the Qatarian. And this is part of that, not to let Erdogan to take control over Hamas. So they from those reasons they must have Hamas leadership in Qatar.
Okay, thank you for this. You said, among the other things you said now, you said that this may, the strike may bring an end to the war sooner. Now, I heard experts, Israeli experts on the radio today saying basically the people who were killed are the people who are supposed to decide on the negotiations. And they say, while on general terms of moral injustice, these people definitely deserve to be sent to hell or to be killed or eliminated, this was not the right time. And you say differently. You say maybe this will bring the end of the war. Basically, who will now be the people in Hamas who will discuss, who will talk with Israel?
Yeah, if we'll judge what was happening in the last 2 years with the Hamas leadership, with what is going on, no negotiation really came to a conclusion. And from the Hamas perspective, dragging the time, using the time for them, this is an advantage. We are, as Israelis, we want to end the war fast, people to go to a normal life, to bring the hostages back. For us, the time is a critical asset. For Hamas, on the other side, taking the time, this is the asset, because the nerves and the patience of the Israeli public is less and less. From the government, stability is less and less. What is happening in Israel. So for Hamas, the will to drag the time, this is the strategy. And they are negotiating here and there, coming back and forth. At one moment, they said, we want East Jerusalem to be under our control as part of negotiation. So they had demands that are not really relevant for anything. And when we see what is happening in the Gaza Strip, actually what is happening over there, we see that there is no Hamas is really a fiction, because Hamas, after Sinwar and all the other leaders in the Gaza Strip that were killed, Hamas was divided into 5 Hamulas, 5 big families, that they are fighting each other. And sometimes I do believe that they are hating each other much more than they hate Israel. So they are fighting who will take control over the Gaza Strip. They are killing their own people. They are killing each other. They became like pirate terrorist groups that are fighting with each other. And they even cannot agree between themselves about what to negotiate and how to negotiate. And you see that in the last year, in most of the meetings that were held in Qatar, in Egypt, and all, there was no one from Hamas. Only the Qatarian, the Egyptians, the Americans, nobody from Hamas, because there is no decision maker in Hamas. It was like some kind of committee that were, representatives from all those Hamulas. The guys that maybe were assassinated yesterday, there is no real confirmation yet who was killed and who was not. They didn't really did some kind of wonderful work in the negotiation. They did nothing. So I don't think it will stop the negotiation in this kind of a way or another. I'm not speaking of in the next few days until Qatar will say, okay, we are satisfied because Trump now offered us that nothing will happen again. The American will help us to close the skies. Nothing will happen. And they will get satisfied and said, okay, let's go on with the negotiation. In fact, the real representative from the Gaza Strip are not there. So I believe it will, because now Hamas will put their own people to be controlled over Hamas. I think this will only make the negotiation process much faster.
Okay, thank you for this. I'm going to combine 2 journalist questions into one, basically. Following up on what you said, so how or maybe who can Israel now sign a deal with in Hamas? Because essentially, from what you said about the different clans that are governing the strip, it sounds like there is no one who will declare on the Palestinian side an end to the war. Another question I have is, does Israel even have like a single, let's call it point of contact for discussions over the remaining hostages in Gaza, or for each group of hostages, according to intelligence, it needs to speak to different people? And just another question is, essentially was the long aim strategic um, purpose of the strike? Is it like another step toward Israel, proving its regional hegemony, or is it more limited to ending the specific war specifically?
Yeah, maybe from the last question to start. I think Israel has no ambition to be a local hegemony or superpower, regional superpower. I think that Israel, really everyone from right and left, wants to go back to normal life, to go back to commerce, for technology, for peace. Many reserve soldiers just want to come home. Nobody wants to move it forward. They just want hostages back and to go to a normal life again. And I and this, I think, leads to the other two questions you had, because at the end of the day, in the last almost 2 years from negotiation, there was no really a contact that was made by the Hamas. The negotiation were made or were held with the presence of Qatarians, Egyptians, but no Hamas. So they were the representative of Hamas in those negotiations, saying that what will be agreed over there, it will be imposed on Hamas by the Egyptians and the Qatarian. So they are like the guardian angels and the one that will push Hamas to ceasefire with returning of the hostages. So I think this situation, it's the same, but while nothing is going anywhere with the negotiation before yesterday, I think now the ability of Qatar to put someone that is really relevant, and he can push, he can be under the sole control of Qatar without Iran, and this is the critical point. Without Iran, it can be. I think that much more can be achieved in this negotiation.
Okay, and moving on to Iran, is there, I mean, I don't think it's a big chance. Do you think Iran may try to do some symbolic retaliation against Israel in response, even a limited strike, or
Iran,
it's gonna stay out of it? Yeah.
I don't think it's relevant for Iran. Iran is building itself significantly now. It's building its force with new ammunition, armament, platforms, aircrafts, etc., mainly from China, but also a little bit from Pakistan and Russia. So this is one. Iran is also in a big economical problem. No electricity, no drinking water. The local currency is smashed with hundreds of percentage of inflation. So I don't think for Iran it's the time to retaliate or to put its word. It's not in the right time for them. Probably it will come at some moment, but not for now.
Yeah, now just to read, I'm gonna repeat the question from a journalist. I think you basically mentioned it. Is there any connection between the attack in Doha and the fact that Hamas were just deciding to accept the ceasefire proposal? So, from what you say, the ceasefire proposal in itself was basically a trap, like a sort of.
Yeah, I believe, for the information we have until now, my assessment is the ceasefire was a deception made by the U.S. and Israel together in order to attract them for a meeting and to set the timer for eliminating the leadership. This is my assessment. And it's only 24 hours after, less than 24 hours after. And I think in the next 2 days, we'll see what happened and how. But this is only the initial assessment for now.
Yes, and I just want to mention that historically Hamas is very slow to admit when its top officials are killed, and Israel is hesitant before it is certain that it knows the results.
Yeah.
Now, I have a very good question here from one of the journalists. If the Hamas officials in Doha were a bit inconsequential in the negotiations, then what difference does it make if Israel takes them out?
I believe that I answered that before, saying that Qatar really lost control over Hamas. The Hamas was playing here and there. By the way, this is because of that Hamas is a fictional body, a fictional organization that was splitted for five Hamulas, five families. So there is no control over Hamas, and the leadership over there just had a good time in Doha. They had, they didn't really participated over there. While that, they were really the truth that they're really under Iranian control. So also the Iranian really don't want that that Hamas will go into a ceasefire. For Iran, it's very convenient that the war will continue in the Gaza Strip. So taking out the leadership means that to take out Iranian control. And then when now Qatar will nominate the new leadership of Hamas without Iranian control, I believe that this is what will happen now. They have a full control of Hamas, and this for the Qatarian it's very critical and convenient.
Understand. Do you see any danger of Hamas executing the hostages in retaliation? I'll personally answer myself, I think no, because I think that's their policy, their insurance. But what do you say to
Yeah,
this?
I agree with you. This is as more hostages are alive, they can have a bigger price for them. So the hostages are totally the insurance. And by the way, I'm very pessimistic about their will of returning the hostages. They don't really have a will. While they are keeping them, they have the wild cards in their pockets, and to release those cards, the aces, out of the deck, for them it's a huge risk. So I don't see any motivation of them to release the hostages. And once again, as much as they're alive, they can gain much more benefits out of it. Sorry to say that.
It sounds evil, but it's understood. I mean, that's their,
Yeah,
that's their like A-bomb, essentially.
absolutely.
I wanted a small deviation to Iran. You mentioned Iran and its influence over Hamas. I think since about mid-August or maybe the 20th of August, there was a report in the Financial Times or another well-respected international magazine that Israel will initiate another war against Iran before the end of August. I know people in the defense establishment are talking about another coming war with Iran, and I know that in Iran, citizens have been told to prepare, supplies for difficult days. So on this unrelated matter, can you tell me what's your assessment of what's going to happen between Israel and Iran in the coming weeks, months, or a year?
Yeah. I think that first, as a motivation, Iran needs to retaliate. It cannot, the attack on last May cannot be moved out with silent. So at some moment in time, they will retaliate. But we need to remember that according to the Arabic and also the Persian culture, time has different meaning than in the West. They like they retaliate the assassination of the heads of the Quds Force. It took them 2 years to retaliate against the Americans. 2 years, and for them it's still retaliation. So their dimension or time dimension is totally different than ours, and they can wait with that. They can retaliate in 1 year, in half a year, in 2 or 3 years. For them, it will be retaliation. This is one. The second one is that they are not ready for war yet. They are now enforcing their aerial defense system. They gain more systems from Russia, the S-400. They got more now aerial defense systems from China. So they are rebuilding their aerial defense systems. They are rebuilding their capability of ballistic missiles. They are rebuilding, or it's not many. I would say let's call it rebuilding their air force. They bought a new dozens of new J-10 aircraft from China. So they are now in a process that will take them around a year, really, to set up a new military with full force. And this is while the economical situation is very bad. Iran is being dry. There is no water, drinking water in Iran. There is no electricity. So for them, in order to maintain the stability of the regime, they cannot go into retaliation now. They cannot take any more now attacks from Israel and from the US as well. And while that, the snapback that is on the table, it will also will cause them much more problems. So if they will start now, the snapback will go online. They cannot afford that right now. So when you see that they are start to speak with the EU, with the UN, trying to settle the issue of the nuclear program, they are now allowed to have control of the 60% enrichment materials. So I think they are now in a stage that they are trying to put everybody in a coma, to stabilize the economical situation inside, to stabilize the military, and after that they will go. I don't see really. I cannot assess any kind of will to attack in the next year to go against Israel. Now it's not the right time for them.
Is Israel going into a coma? Is it looking at the acquisitions of those jets and the S-400? The reliability of the system is questionable, but
Yeah.
is Israel looking at all these things happening and doing nothing?
I think with the stability of the political situation in Israel, with the hostages, I think Israel and of course the military that really needs a rest, and all the reservists really need to go back to a normal life. I think that Israel cannot afford now to go to a war. And from this point, Israel tries to minimize any kind of other operations, even with the rhetoric from the right-wing political persons like Smotrich and Ben-Gvir, let's conquer Gaza and all. It's a political rhetoric, but with zero meaning behind it, zero meaning, zero actions. And I think this reflects what is happening also. Nobody wants to go to a war. Nobody wants to really to conquer Gaza. And I speak about, I'm taking out the rhetoric, the political rhetoric. So I think we're not going into coma, but we really want to go back into a peaceful and normal life.
Yeah, very much so. I have a question from two separate questions from reporters about the Abraham Accords. There's this assessment, whether correct or not, that Hamas actually started the war because Israel and Saudi were nearing a peace agreement, and that Saudi Arabia was going to join the Abraham Accords like the UAE. Do you see maybe the strike in Doha maybe changing it, or maybe even causing countries to withdraw from the accords or to reconsider if they were going to join?
I think that since Trump came back into power, the Abraham Accord just came back to the table. And I think nothing will stop it now. It looks like that. I think this is some kind of putting back the dream to combat the Chinese Belt and Road Initiative by the Americans. And you see that Trump is very, very serious. I don't know if it will come true, but he's very serious in making the northern part of the Gaza Strip as US autonomy. That will be the end of the American Belt and Road Initiative to compete the Chinese. And this road that will go from India through the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, and Israel, I think it will bring prosperity to the region. I think that the Saudians are totally understand it. Also, the guys from the UAE, and even today or yesterday night, Trump said that Modi, the prime minister of the Indian prime minister, is his best friend, and they are now moving forward for more economical agreements. So I think, and this is also part of the big picture. Okay, India is part of the big picture of Abraham Accord. It's not that this is separate things. It's totally one big belt road against the Chinese. And because of that, I do believe that it will not go away. It will get more and more strong.
I have to say, this is really interesting. It's the first time I actually heard of a sort of American countermeasure to the Belt and Road Initiative. You're saying, like, everybody made jokes about the Gaza Riviera, it's a Trump fantasy, and you're saying this would actually be the last stop in a long land trade route that is supposed to challenge China.
Yeah. By the way, it's not a Trump vision. It started with Obama, and after that with Biden, and Trump is the first one to move it really forward. And if you remember during the war, there was a move by Biden to build a dock in Gaza in order to bring things from supply mainly from Cyprus. And this is not by chance. This is not, this stupid, sorry for saying that, this stupid dock was not relevant because the water depth over there cannot allow a real ship to go. So with one truck, you bring much more than you bring with the ships that can go in this dock. But this is a symbol, and this is the importance of that. This is a symbol saying that this is the end of the Middle East road, and from there to go to Cyprus and to other European countries, once again, against the Chinese BRI. And the Riviera and all these things these are not the main issue. It's not the main issue to have a Riviera in Gaza. The main issue is to have over there a port, a real seaport that can make or can from there the ships can go in a really high capacity, and not to do it in the Israeli territory. On the contrary, to make it in a U.S. autonomy over there. And of course, when you have a seaport, a city starts to blooming. You will have casinos and restaurants and hotels and business centers. This is the Riviera. It's only the continuity of the seaport, and this is the belt itself. They speak a lot of a huge railroad that will go from UAE through the countries to the Gaza Strip. This is the vision. This is the real vision of it.
That's very interesting. In fact, there was a land route that was kind of set up as an alternative to when the Houthis started, firing at ships in the straits. So is that actually kind of a draft rehearsal for this?
Absolutely. It came from Oman through Saudi Arabia, and it's the first steps in this railroad.
Okay, that's very interesting stuff.
Nothing is by chance. It's if you look on the big picture from the holistic point of view, you will see that everything is getting connected to each other.
Yeah, I have to say, at the time when Biden set up the pier in north of Gaza, it seemed like a massive, morality-driven financial fiasco, and did seem like a joke. I could not see another layer to it, but as you say, there are other reasons. I have
it's a very symbolic. It's a really very symbolic. It was not beneficial for anything, but the symbol behind it is very strong.
I have really two questions from reporters if we have time for it. I know we ran out of time. So first of them, do you think, is there any chance that Israel will start another major war in southern Lebanon to disarm Hezbollah? Let me add, if the government there fails. And finally, going back to Gaza, how and why would Qatar now at this point in time benefit from a ceasefire in Gaza? And then I'll let you go.
Thank you. First, I don't see for now, once again, it's a part of the Israeli instability, the inside instability. So I don't think Israel will attack Hezbollah. And I think that Israel will let the Lebanese prime minister and the government to do its job with the aid of the Americans and other EU countries for that. This is one point. For the other point regarding Hamas.
Just to add that Israel has never stopped attacking Lebanon since the end of that war. Yeah, we've been.
Yes, but it's a very accurate and pinpoint attacks also against Syrian.
Yeah.
Against Syrian facilities. This is not letting them to gain more power or to stop proliferation. That's the aim of it. It's not a massive attack. It's a very, very accurate and pinpoint attack. So, and this is, this is like counter proliferation steps. Not nobody wants to go into a ground maneuver, which is the major thing. We use the Air Force here and there, and that's it.
And how would Qatar benefit from a ceasefire? Last question.
Yeah, and from the Qatar point of view, Qatar really, as the Muslim Brotherhood, they really want to gain control in the Israeli territory, and also in the Palestinian Authority as well. So controlling Hamas, controlling Gaza Strip for Qatar, it's a very strategic territory to control. And from their perspective, this is a way to also to threaten Israel. They don't really Israel to exist. Okay, Qatar is they are playing a very duplicity way. From one side, they are showing that they are bringing the peace. They're doing negotiation. They are part of the peacemaker in the world. From the other side, they are fueling Hamas. They are fueling hatred. They do that also in the U.S. They do that in Europe as well, and they do that against Israel using Al Jazeera and other NGOs, and also paying U.S. and American and European NGOs for that. So they are against Israel by their DNA, and the front, I would say, the front gate of the front base called Gaza and Hamas, it's an asset that it's very important for them.
Okay, very clear. I understand. Thank you so much, Dr. Pinko, for your time. It's always a pleasure to speak about many subjects. And I'm waiting for the time we'll meet again. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Cheers. Bye-bye.